Hey, welcome to Mad Dog's After Show. You're along for the ride with the Mad Dog and Cole, the titanium tank Farrell.
Hey, a podcast is just like a book in the sky.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
Man, what a way to start episode 95, but with those iconic words from the incredible Mr. Evil Knievel, just flying through the air, living in the sunlight, and enjoying life. And we all need to take a little time to maybe not fly through the air, but certainly to enjoy life.
Yeah, and we get to enjoy life because of our first responders and the brave men and women of our military and all of their families. Literally couldn't do this podcast if it wasn't for their brave, incredible, patriotic efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so grateful for all of them and for the families of our service people that gave all our MIA, KIA, great respect for you also. Thank you. While we're talking about awareness, we want to make sure and make you aware, ladies, go get your boobs checked out. It is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month here in October. And you can go to nationalbreastcancer.org and get all the information where to make a good donation and information, ladies, you may need. All us guys like your tatas. So get them checked and get things handled. Speaking of getting things handled, we got to handle getting our sponsors and partners mentioned, incredible partners like Kicker Performance Audio. Find them at kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio, Facebook Kicker, and every other Tuesday night live on their TV show Kicker Unmasked Live, YouTube, and Facebook. It's a good show. Tune in. Lots of good information. They got a bunch of new product coming out and dropping. Keep your eyes on that kicker.com or their Instagram because you're going to see some cool stuff coming up, especially, being down here on the lake, on the river. Some new marine stuff coming out that's going to kind of set the whole industry on edge. So keep your eyes open for that. Of course, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear. Our partners at Bomber been behind us for years. Incredible glasses, over 40 styles of frames. I don't even know how many different lens combinations. And if you listen to the last podcast, you will know the entire story of Bomber Eyewear, where they started, where they came from, where they're going. Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, bombereyewear.com, on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Of course, our man Cole over at the Premix Podcast,
Oi.
sharing his passion for all things moto and desert related through the lens of a camera, and also now booking for your 2025 event, race, or anything that you need done where you need an MC or an announcer. Man is gold behind the mic. Slide into his DMs at the Premix Podcast on Instagram. That's the at symbol ThePremixPodcast.
Wow.
Of course, Kelsey Morel Film handling all of our video and audio editing, doing a great job. Man,
Amazing.
so grateful for Kelsey and all the hard work she puts in. If you need anything done from still photography to video production, TV commercials, everything from pre-production to all the way out through post-production. Find her on Instagram at Kelsey Morel Film. Of course, Hey Geeks Marketing, handling all of our logos and branding. You can find her on Instagram at Hey Geeks Marketing. You can find her on the webs, heygeeks.com, and all your social media or website needs, she's got you covered. Yell, Hey Geeks, or hit the webs, heygeeks.com. So, dude, it's good to have you back for a session here. I've missed you.
I've missed you too. I don't know the listeners miss me, but that's okay.
I guarantee you the listeners missed you for sure. It's I really appreciate you taking the extra time. I know you had brutal day today, long day, and you are just killing the hours for the man and working that real job. And we're recording late tonight, and I appreciate you just taking the time to hop on, because we got some really cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, 'tis the season, but yeah, there's guys out there with actual backbreaking jobs and real laborious stuff. So let's not pretend like I'm in that category. Let's just put that out first and foremost, right? I'm clicking stuff and yelling at reps and reading contracts. So yeah, these at the end of the day, these hands are clean. So
Right. Not always. It depends on the day.
yeah, depends on the booger situation, the hangnail situation.
Long as you're not struggling from paper cuts, it's all right.
No, it's all electronic now. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
What is paper?
Yeah, right. I know, as I look across my desk here in the studio, and I've got like 6 notepads with notes on different things. I started a new notepad because I don't want to like flip the page and
Yep.
lose what I wrote down on a whim thought or something, you know?
Yeah. And then you just keep collecting them, and then you never usually crack them back open, but you just start having notebook libraries that you'll never
Yeah.
look at again, but you got them.
But I got them, yeah. Absolutely. Man, I've been like, I was home for a week. I was in Tampa for a week for the International Boat Builders Expo, where we teased and actually showed off some new product. I was there with Team Kicker and showed off some of the new product coming out that will be officially released at SEMA. And for those super astute watchers, there's something back there. You might go, wow. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming. And, we're getting ready for SEMA. And I got tasked with upgrading the Podfather's Kawasaki KRX 4-seat custom build, properly named Electra. Yes. Yeah, she's a beauty.
Yeah, I like it.
That car rips too with the supercharger. It runs good, let me tell you. But Kawasaki's always been known for building a good product. So, but I got tasked with doing some upgrades, and if you are going to be at SEMA, come by the North Hall. I will be there with Team Kicker, and check out Electra and the new, soon to be released and already installed on Electra as of this afternoon, marine subwoofer enclosure. It's a beast.
Sweet.
And I can tell you, it delivers. So that's kind of where I've been, dude. I want to jump right into this, though, because you had an active weekend, bro.
Yeah, it was good. It was nice to be about it, not just talking about it or watching about it. Yeah, so to jump right in, for the second year in a row, we just did the 24 hours of Glen Helen, or I should say, we didn't conquer it. It might have conquered us, but that's okay. Someone's got to be the the chum out there. But just to back up, yeah, just you were speaking about Tampa. I mean, thoughts and prayers to the whole East Coast right now.
Absolutely.
But I was supposed to be in Florida this weekend, and because of the hurricane, obviously that didn't happen. So thoughts and prayers to all those families. Just a wild, scary situation. Just get hammered back to back. Unbelievable, man. Just like feel like
It's
those poor people can't get a break right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely just it's frightening, really, and uh, that big shout out to my friends up in the Asheville area of North Carolina too. That had just devastated that whole area, and they're resilient. I'm watching their posts, and you know, folks, we're sending our thoughts and prayers for sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, not to get too off topic, but I don't want to go any farther without thanking Greg Biffle and all his efforts, man. It's like you
Absolutely.
got this dude who's I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here. What's the phrase? But I mean, he's just it's like a guy who could not be on social media for months and months, and the reason he's posting is like, "Hey, help! We need helicopter fuel. We need supplies." Dudes out there in the front lines making it happen. So that was way awesome to see Ricky Bobby out there and handling business.
Yeah, I'm flying, we're obviously, people may not know, but you definitely have a relationship with Greg as do I. And he's he's very quiet, very reserved
Yeah.
dude. Um, and yeah, he's flying his own helicopter in the day after the storm personally. Um, I mean, NASCAR champ and everything NASCAR superstar, racing superstar. Um, Everything aside, he's jumping in his own helicopter and loading up with everything he can get to drop off to people. And some of the, I'm sure you've seen some of the videos he posted. Um, Dude, some of the places they're landing were sketch.
Yeah, man, I was gonna say that too because I mean, shoot, it's hard enough to fly a helicopter on a nice day, and now you're doing it where people have maybe made an X in the road where you can land, and that's just trusting people who've never flown helicopters before that you're not going to dig this thing in the ground. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's like some Man of Steel stuff to go out in an emergency zone and go handle business.
Yeah, I am round up a bunch of people. I think at one point they may still have them going, but they had like what 10 choppers going or something, flying relief, just supplies and diapers and formula and
Pet food and
drinking
whatever.
water.
Yeah, drinking
Yeah.
water. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, God bless America.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the real spirit of America, of Americans. Let's jump in and help our people that are in trouble. Nobody cares about you know what, especially coming up to the election, what political party they're affiliated with or anything else. They just want to go in and help,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And hallelujah and pass the gravy.
Yeah,
I
and it
mean,
sucks it has to get to this level to have something to unionize on, something to bond together over. But
yeah.
just to see the good out of it is pretty heartwarming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of the good in things, I know that has to be some good. I have gotten the report, but the 24 hours of Glen Helen
Yeah,
last year, um, you guys basically
I can't
like
wait.
did it with two people, right?
Yeah,
Two
pretty much.
riders.
Yeah, that's what it whittled down to.
Yeah.
you know, um, yeah, and let me start off by saying when I say things like we and us and the team, I need to be very clear and very honest that I didn't have a lot of skin in the game. I had very little money invested into this project just because I found out that I could even go 48 hours beforehand. So when I talk about broken bodies and parts and equipment, don't cry for me, Argentina, because I just showed up and got to do the easy stuff. So I need to get that out of the way to start with. But but yeah, so last year, was our first year, and that there's a lot of grace in that because you really don't know what you're getting into, right? You have an idea. Obviously, we're lucky it's our home track, so we know literally where we want to park, where we want to pit, how the track's going to develop, how to set up the bike, all that stuff. All that stuff's easy, but it's like, yeah, I've ridden there. I think on my best day, probably I've raced 2 hours in one day, not 24 hours in 24 hours. So you just kind of don't really know what's happening. So to make a long story short, obviously took all the bad things that happened last year, and it's a learning experience, right? So
For sure.
So, you know, I don't want to speak for the guys that really put this together, but they made some changes just as far as like, hey, who's getting invited, who's doing what, who's providing what, how to kind of make things a little more equal and fun. Because if you're going into it like you're the bossa nova, and then you have all these riders coming in and they got it easy, that's not going to make it fun, right? So things from my perspective zoomed out seemed like everybody had a lot of time invested. Everybody chipped in on parts. One of the guys even got a fuel sponsorship on board, which saved like $500-600 this year, which is like, which is crazy to think $600 of fuel at a motocross race. But by the time you get the trucks and the trailers and the generators to run the lights and all the premix oil and stuff, I mean, it all got used, you know, which is,
and you run a bike for 24 hours.
And you run a bike for 24 hours. So I can just tell these car guys are just laughing at me right now, being like, yeah, it's $600 just to get to the track and our diesels. But so yeah, I went over to the boys' house, Jake and Jesse, about 2 nights before, brought over some gas cans and just kind of we were just shooting the breeze, but also kind of got a game plan of what's going on. And it was a huge relief to me because we were using 2 almost identical bikes this year, which was crazy. Last year we had the old WR that wanted to commit seppuku anyway and was just on its last leg. And then we had this brand new 450 Honda that we ended up killing the ECU on. So yeah, so this time we had 2 almost identical bikes. We had a YZ250X, which is their off-road model. It's a 2-stroke, but it has an 18-inch rear wheel, kickstand, bigger tank, all that stuff. And then we had a YZ250 that was bigger tank, still had the 19-inch wheel, but set up for off-road. So it's like, awesome, man. Like if we really get in a bad bind here, we can swap stuff over. The bikes are so similar. It's going to be really nice for those guys swapping between bikes if there's an issue, just because it's going to be nice. And as stupid as this sounds, but it looks cool to have 2 of the same bike, you know, instead of having this like ragtag, like, okay, we'll use your XR100 and we'll use your TT600 or something.
Right.
So I don't know, just like the uniformity kind of looked pretty cool. So
Definitely.
those guys got out there Friday and got set up. I got there first thing Saturday morning, and just to cut right to the chase, it was pretty cool because 99% of Grand Prix and off-road starts, it's usually engine off or hand on helmet, something goofy. We've done like Le Mans style starts and everything, but they go, no, we're going to do, you know, pros 1, amateurs 2, beginners 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Ironmans, all that stuff. But they put everybody on the motocross gates. So it was live engine. I don't know. And it sounds so funny because like motocross gates are so common, but it was cool to do as an off-road guy. It's like, yeah, there's no goofy stand backwards, you know, on the fender or whatever, have to run your bike. It was like, all right, it's game on from literally the second the gate drops. So yeah, we had Jake take the start, and he was kind of the bravest, just more, I think just because he's one of the younger guys, he's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I'll just embrace the suck. I'll get out there. Like, I'll put us in a good position. And so right from the gate drop, and I got photos, I'm standing at Talladega. Those guys were all sideways. Jake had his boot off. One guy had his shoulder over the bars. They're clacking down the 400 foot straightaway. And we're all laughing like, dude, we got 24 hours to go and we're banging bars from the first second down, like, you know. And there was a couple guys that crashed on the first Talladega corner, and it's like, that's a that's a hard way to start a very long race at this track.
Yeah.
So, but the last year's experience, we knew that there was going to be about a 35 minute lap time. If you're kind of dogging at 45 minutes, if there's an issue up in the hills. Well, Jake comes by on the first lap and it's only been like 17 minutes. And it's like, whoa, that's really quick. And then I thought about it and I go, well, if you think about it, how the starting line is set up, that might only be half of the track before you come through the timing loop the first time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like that makes sense. And so then, wouldn't you know it, 18 minutes later, here he is again. It's like, oh, well, this is really going to suck because these guys are going to have to do a lot of laps on a shorter course instead of, you know, I think it's a great mental thing to have a long course where you're seeing a lot of different stuff and different elements compared to doing something that's tight and more beat up. So it's like, well, that kind of changes the strategy, and there's a little bit of safety in it, and the fact that if you have an issue or somebody's tired or somebody's hurt, it's going to be 20 minutes to come back, not 40 minutes to come back to the pits.
Right.
And just for the listeners at home, how it's set up is you can use on anything but pro class, you can have up to 6 riders, which sounds crazy until you're doing 24 hours, but you can have up to 6 riders and 2 bikes. One bike has to stay in the impound at all times, which is on the start line, and that's for every team. So that means if you break one bike, you can't just grab the other one and then throw the first one in the pits and work on it. It's like, nope, there's one active bike on the track at all times, and the other one cannot be touched. So it's kind of a fun sporty rule, but it's definitely something you really do have to think about. So we had the YZ250X kind of set up as our daytime bike. And then we said, okay, when we got about half hour to sundown, we're going to grab the other 250. So everything was going to plan. Everybody was in a good mood. Everybody was riding well. And last year, I'm sorry I keep referencing last year, but there's so many parallels. Last year, we had an issue right at sundown to where we had to grab the backup bike, and then we had to take all the light equipment, ride the bike in the dark for about a half a lap to get the other bike, and then set up this one with the new light system. So we didn't necessarily have that issue right at sundown, but we had a guy go out, and we're like, okay, he's been gone a while, but it was his first lap of the day and it's nighttime. And it's like, okay, well, this is kind of, I don't know, worrying, strange, but not a lot of us had seen this guy ride before. And we're like, hey man, maybe he's just an anchor. Maybe he's a turtle and is just enjoying it. No big deal. We just need the bike to just keep moving forward. Like, keep going. We're not in the pro class. No big deal as long as he's safe. And so his one buddy who really knows him well is the one who owns the 250X, the daytime bike. And he's like, man, let me just see if he's called me or anything. And he had like 15 missed calls, like 30 missed texts from this rider. And it's like, dude, what's up? What's up? And he goes, I don't know, man. Like the chain's gone. Like I'm good, but like, and he goes, well, anyway, I'll run back to you. It's just like, okay. So luckily he was in a spot where over a half hour, he was able to physically push the bike back to our pits.
Wow.
But it sucked because he's not able to go through the timing loop. So it's kind of like we lost a whole lap there to begin with.
Right.
Let alone the fact that now we got to work on this thing. So
wait, how did you, before you get into that part, how did you plan who was riding when? Like, how long did the guys, what was the plan for that? Because you started in the morning, didn't you?
Yeah. So the race is 10 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Okay.
And so what's funny is because you're a racer, right? And you really do get scramble brain like on race day, which is nice that I'm not on the bike. And I think I can think a little bit more clearly, but our initial objective is like, okay, we'll have each guy go 2 laps. We'll do 2. And if we'll have the next guy ready in case there's an issue, if you have to come off after 1. So the plan is to do 2, but we'll be ready for 1. And then some guys were like, okay, Well, what if I feel good and I want to do 3 or 4? Well, it's noon, it's 2 o'clock, and we have 18 more hours of this. So if you're
Right.
fresh, yeah, cool. I want you off the bike. I don't want you riding till you're burnt out, because then you're no good to me if we have an issue really quickly, you know?
Yeah.
Because just like anybody else, they're ready to ride or race 1 or 2 motos a day. You know, this is all new territory for a lot of people. Yeah, so good point. That was our plan. The plan was 2 laps for everybody, and we'll just go through the rotation. So we'll try to keep the same batter lineup, you know. So yeah, so we had swapped to the night bike before this. No, I'm sorry. Right before then we had the chain just like fly off, and it just completely bound itself up in the countershaft sprocket.
Oh,
So
no.
luckily the chain had come off the back wheel, so the back wheel was still spinning freely. Otherwise,
Right. Ooh, yeah.
who only knows like what would happen. And I never saw a bike get recovered. I didn't see them run around on UTVs, anything like that. And to be fair, for those who don't know Glen Helen, it's a motocross track with tons of miles of trails, but it's in between 2 canyons. And in
Yeah.
those canyons are really small canyons and waterfalls and really tight woodsy stuff. So if a bike breaks down out there, you might not be able to get it to the next day or after the race is over. Who knows? So the fact that this thing happened, the high speed section kind of leaving the truck course, that was like huge blessing number 1 that happened for that day. So we get the bike in, and it's like, okay, what do we do? Do we put a different wheel on this bike? What do we do? And it was like, no, I think what we have to do is we will put a new rear wheel on this thing, and then we will pull the lights off of it. We'll use a helmet light, go grab the first bike again. We'll put this beautiful light rig that one of the riders had just built over the weeks leading up to it. We'll put this
Nice.
back on that thing. So it's good you have a backup bike, but it's like, dude, man, we're not even 12 hours in this thing, and we already have a bike that's like detonated. Or, I mean, we can fix it, but is it worth it to leave it in the pits for all the time that we can work on it? Or do we just make this thing work enough to get the other bike? So at that point it was like, well, we'll just go get the daytime bike, set it up with the lights. All right, cool. So no drama for quite a while after that. And next thing you know, the bike comes in, and we're like, whoa. We're like, are the lights gone? Like, what's up with this? And then it gets closer, and it's got 1 light instead of 2 Baja XL80 squadrons, and it's facing up in the
Uh-oh.
sky. It's like,
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So what happened? I don't know, man. One of the lights shook off. I couldn't find it. I don't know what happened. All right. So we'd rigged this thing to make it work, but it just sucks. Okay, now we're down to a headlight, and all the
Right.
guys are wearing helmet lights, which is like the new thing you have to do. It's like the new standard. But it's like, dude, I'm not a Baja Designs customer. I don't know. I know they're not cheap. They're American made, and now we got
Right.
one gone, right? And so then it's like, dude, this really sucks, man. All right. And so this is starting to be the time in the 24-hour race where you're like, is this fun? Are we having fun? Do we know what fun is? Why do we do this? Like, you guys work all week doing epoxy and construction and welding, and like, this is what we're going to do for fun on the weekend, you know? It's like, all right. So I should mention that this light system we had was pretty cool because it was able to swap from bike to bike with only 4 hose clamps.
Oh, nice.
And it was a beautifully aluminum built purpose light rack set, and it looked like your normal Baja setup, because Jesse
Right.
took this design from our good friend at Raceco and kind of made it his own for what we're doing, but it looked great. And so what was cool about it too is it swapped over so easy because it ran on 2 Milwaukee batteries. So it was 1 Milwaukee battery per light, and we
Oh,
knew we
nice.
could get like a little over an hour out of each battery. And so then we had like 6 Milwaukee batteries on chargers running the generator. And to be fair, does it look like a little goofy compared to just having it wired to the stator? Yeah, for sure. But you know what? Like, doing this one night race a year, it's going to be plenty fine. And it's cool to have a system to where if the bike isn't running, you could still have a light if you have an issue or whatever. There's definitely pros to it. It's kind of cool to have it.
It's actually pretty brilliant, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the batteries add a little more weight to the handlebars.
Yep.
But the other side of that is you're not risking, if you have a problem with the wiring or anything, you're not risking frying the ECU or the stator or the voltage regulator or anything like that. So,
because we did that one last year.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty smart.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's and it changed really fast. I mean, it just used just like you would change it on your accessory. You just pull the battery off with the two little clips, and then it just clicks in right to its little home. So it was, Jesse was genius in how he designed this thing. And so okay, now we got one light, but all the riders have a helmet light. Okay, great. So things are going okay. Everybody's running. The slowest lap we had, not including issues or crashes or tip overs or helping kids off the track, whatever. Because there are some times in canyons it's just worth it to stop the bike and help get the kids off the track, make sure they're okay. You know, it's a long race. We're not going to win the overall anyway, whatever. So fastest lap we saw was about 18 minutes. Longest we saw was about 25. So later on in the night, it's about midnight now. Next thing you know, it's like, is that our bike coming down pit road? No. Oh, look at that dude. He doesn't even have any headlights. Oh, wait, that's our dude. Uh-oh. So our guy comes in and he and just because he's like so over at this point, just does like a cool nose wheelie in our pits, and he's like, dude, the light rack fell off. It's somewhere in the back straightaway. I don't know. And now we've lost 2 Milwaukee batteries, which are like $220 a pop, right? And the light rack system, we lost one of these Baja XL80s, and it's like now the whole light rack's gone. And this is the kind of the first time where you're like, this might be the race, you know, like this might, because we're not going to be able to go 12 hours. Well, at least 6.5 more hours just on helmet lights. I just don't think it's feasible, and I kind of think that everybody would probably be over it at that point if you just had your helmet light. And so I yelled at the guy, Nate, and I'm like, well, where is it? And he goes, well, I think it's on the back straightaway. Now, keep in mind, this is a track that's got 100 straightaways and 90 million turns. And it's like, what the hell is the back straightaway? But he kind of pointed in a general direction. I go, okay, I'll go look. So I had my super dorky Craftsman hat light on, or whatever, headlamp light on.
Headlamp, yeah.
And some other friend of a friend who is a stranger to me, he's like, all right, dude, let's go look. I'm like, all right, cool. So we run out there, and it was kind of scary because the bikes are like whizzing by on this high-speed fifth gear straightaway, and I'm like looking for this light, and I'm like, I see it. And so I ran out when it was clear. I ran out on the track and I grabbed the thing, and it was like my trophy, you know. So I came back, and it still had one light on it, but both batteries just gone. Like, who knows where those things were?
Yeah.
And once again, the royal we, but it's like, not my money, but I'm like, dude, we're down $500 in batteries, like, and at least $100 in a Baja Designs light. So I get this thing back, and we had hose clamps for it and everything. So we got it back on the bike. And I say this kind of jokingly, but everybody's like, yeah, cool, we're still in it. This is exciting. But there's also that moment of like, damn it, we still got to keep doing this thing. Like, it's like, we almost had an out, you know. We could have been home by 2 a.m. if we left right now or whatever. So at that point, everybody was pretty tired. All the riders were pretty spent. We had one guy that was his first big race like this, and real tall dude. He's well over 6 feet tall, and this one bike had a lowering link on it. And so he completely bottomed out the rear suspension, went over the bars, and got a concussion. So he was out.
Oh, no.
So now we were down. We started with 5 riders. Now we're down to 4. One of the guys, Luke, really nice guy. He's kind of like Supercross, media royalty, does photos and stuff like that. But he's a motocross guy. And so he had a great attitude, but he's just like, dude, I'm spent. Like, I can't keep doing this high speed to wood stuff. Like, it's just not what I do. Cool, man, no problem. So We go, hey, go lay down. If you feel better, please jump back on the bike. But if you're not feeling good, hey, you paid your money, paid your dues like everybody else, like we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So essentially we're down to 3 riders. And so everybody but Jake, as far as riders had gone to bed at about 1 o'clock at this point. And so he starts like finding his second wind, and he's doing real good. I think he kind of gets energized when the nighttime comes. I think he just sort of gets focused on what the lights can see, and it's cooler outside and you're definitely more spread out. So it's less panicky. You know, the pros aren't chasing you through the canyons as bad. And so, his dad had shown up at that point. And so I was like, okay, well, it's 1:30 now. I'm like, I'm going to sleep for an hour. And everybody's like, cool, go do it. Cause I had been pit bossing since 10 a.m. that morning. And I'm like, I kind of want to just take like a little cat nap, just kind of like get my bearings straight. And I'd done it last year. And so I think I was kind of ingrained to me, like, just hang on till you get that little nap, dude. And then you'll be fine. You know, you'll feel good.
Yeah.
and so then I lay in the front seat of my Ranger, and I'm there for maybe like 30, 40 seconds. And it's just loud. All the bikes going by it. And I go, there's no way I'm going to. And then I woke up an hour later when my alarm went off, and I'm like, all right, cool. It's 2:30 in the morning. Like, let's go, dude. Like, second half of the race. Okay, I can do this. So jumped up, and it was like beautifully peaceful at that time, because there's nobody's partying anymore in the pits. Like all the rah energy's gone. It's just kind of survival time. Nice thing is, wasn't a bunch of wind like there was last year, and so we had a little campfire going, like a little teeny tiny campfire, and it was just enough to like keep spirits up. And so just real peaceful, and
nice.
And Jake and Nate were putting in great lap times. They were still sticking with like 20 to 22 minutes at night. The track's totally beat up, egos are bruised, bodies are hurt, and everybody's already locked up. So it was really like a very calm, peaceful time. It was exciting that these guys are doing so good. So fast forward, not very eventful until about 4 o'clock in the morning, when Jake jumped back on the bike. And once again, so now everybody's once again in bed except for me, his dad, and Jake. So he goes out there and he's like, well, this happened last year too. And he goes, well, I'm just gonna go out, and I'm just gonna go until I don't want to go anymore. And it's like, all right, cool, don't hurt yourself. We'll be here if you need anything, but other than that, like, just go have fun. So he just found this third wind of, I'm here, I'm riding, it's awesome weather out, let's just go do it, you know? And
it's like 4:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, it's like about, a little after 4 in the morning. So it's like,
good
all right, cool,
Lord,
man. Like, you know, cool. Just go do your thing, you know, just don't hurt yourself. We'll be here. And so the sun starts coming up right about 6:30. It's really late at this time of year, you know, before our clocks change. And so he comes in, and we flagged him down like there was a problem with the bike or something. We're like, hey, stop, pit. And he's like, what's up? Like, oh, dude, just get off the bike. Okay, we sit him in a chair. Like, what's up? No, man, you're just done. Like, we're calling it for you. Like, you put in such a long charge, you know, you're good. You've done your thing, you know? So he's like, all right. And so I got a good picture of him. He's laying in the chair, the sun's coming up, and he's kind of like in the fetal position. Like, he wanted to keep going, but once you get off the bike, you know, it's like totally different, right? Your adrenaline's just gone, like whatever, like your muscles start locking up again and everything. So we're yelling at his brother, who's in the van right there, who's been sleeping, and he's been sleeping for, I mean, bare minimum 3 hours, which is fine. I'm not the one riding, but like he's got some rest. We're yelling, Jesse, get on the bike, Jesse, and we're just getting no sign of life. He's just, nope, like, I don't care what you guys do. Like, I'm not moving, I'm not raising my eyebrow, I'm not doing nothing. Like, he's like, I rode all day, you know? And it's like, Jesse, get on. And his dad starts going, and the dad, all right, come on, bud, let's go. Let's get on the bike. Come on. Nothing, just lifeless. Jake's in the chair, Jesse's in his van with the doors open. Our other riders are kind of across the creek in our cold pit area, sleeping in the trailers and sleeping in their trucks and stuff. So we have the bike on the stand. So me and his dad, Doug, are just kind of sitting there, and it's like we're just kind of laughing. Sun's coming up. We're getting a little silly, and we just had our first coffee of the day, you know. And some guy comes by, and he sees the bike on the stand, and he's like, oh, man, what's wrong with the bike? And I start cracking up. I go, bike's fine. We just don't have anybody to ride it right now, you know? And he laughed at that. And then a few minutes later, these other two guys come walking up and they look like they haven't ridden a motorcycle in 40 years. And I go, hey, do you want to ride the bike? And they go, no, we're having the same problem. No, all of our guys are like done right now. And it's like, come on, man, it's the last 4 hours, you know, like we got to do something here. And so Jake is sitting in his chair and he goes, okay, I got a plan. Because it hurts to see the bike sitting there so long after doing such good laps all night, you know? And it's like,
you could almost probably hear the clock tick.
We're on hour 20 of 24 and it's like, you know, come on, man. Like we just need to keep moving the thing forward. Just move forward. So he runs back to our buddy Nate and he goes in the trailer and Jake goes, oh, I got a plan. And so I wasn't standing there, but he goes, Nate, you got to get on the bike right now. I just got second place. We just passed second place and we got to keep the bike there because we've been third for like 10 hours. I just got it. You can't lose it. And he wakes up like a vampire, doesn't even use his hands or anything. And he's got the total T-Rex arms and he makes this howling sound. Goes, ah! He goes, I can't move my hands. Jake's like, all right, well, you're done too. So closes the closet door, or closes the trailer door. And Jake comes back just cracking up. Now it's 6:40 in the morning, and he's like, dude, I try to get him up, and he's full like carpal tunnel, like grandma vampire, can't move. He's got the T-Rex arms, all this stuff. And I go, I don't care. We'll tape his hands to the bar. Just like, do something, you know.
Just get the bike moving.
Just come on, somebody move this thing forward, you know. And their dad's sitting there in flip flops, and he's kind of like, oh, I might grab someone's helmet. Like, you never seen a man ride in flip flops so fast. And it's like, yeah, whatever you want, dude. If you want to ride it, go for it. So the next thing you know, it's like a hero movie. Coming across from our cold pit, we just see Nate coming out of the trailer, and he's got his helmet in his hand. He's like, I'm coming. And we're like, yeah, Nate, let's do this. So once he got on the bike, he was totally fine, just totally unlocked, but just had to get moving, you know? And
right.
I think your adrenaline and your safety like systems, just blood flowing and everything. Because, if you were to sit there all day, of course you'd be locked up, you know? And so he got out there, and he put in like 2 or 3 good laps. And so then what was funny, we had like 3 hours to go, and Jake gets all excited, and he's like, dude, think about it. If he does 2 more laps, and I do 2 more laps, and Jesse does 2 more laps, that's the finish. I was like, no, that would be like halfway to the finish. Right. I'm like, you guys have to do 2 more laps 2 more times. And that's the point where you're like, no, like math sucks. Time's so stupid. Like, damn it, dude. Like, you're looking for any excuse. Okay, if we do 1 slow lap and then, you know, cross the finish line here. And it's like, okay, so those guys do all do their rotations, and then it becomes sort of like a polite argument of like, well, who's going to take this thing over the line? It's like, I will. No, well, maybe I'll bring it to the finish. It's like, well, everybody wants the glory, of course, you know, like,
sure, yeah.
Who wouldn't? Like, I'm not even talking trash on that. Like, yeah, of course. Like, that's got to feel awesome to finish this thing off.
Yeah.
So for clarity, we had enough gasoline and we had enough premix oil, but we had made perfectly enough to where it's going to make it to the finish, and we don't have to mix any more fuel. We're done. Kitchen's closed. Like, let's just get this thing across the finish line.
Right.
And we tell the guy, Jesse, we go, who's Jake's older brother. And we go, okay. We need either 1 incredibly slow lap or 2 laps, but you have to go slow because we don't have that much fuel to finish, but it'll be perfect if you just take your time. He's like, okay, cool. So they don't stop everybody at 24 hours. They stop after the leader has gone 24 hours. So that's a big part of the story.
There's some tactical, some tactician stuff there.
Like, hey, dude, sit on a ridge until Justin Morgan passes you, because that way we know, you know, ride with him to the finish and you can be done. So all the families and all the fans and all the girlfriends and everybody's standing there at the finish line waiting for Justin Morgan to come over on the 7X, the SLR Honda bike. And there's guys who, you know, some are Ironman, some are not, but they're just sitting there at the finish like this. Like, I get it, dude. Like,
They're waiting for him
they're
to cross the
waiting
line.
because it's like, no, you're not going to make me go out there 25 more minutes and like maybe the bikes have issues or you're the last rider like standing on your team, whatever. Like it's just, yeah, you want an armchair quarterback and say like that's against the rules, but it's like, dude, you've been racing for 24 hours. Nobody's going to blame you for just playing the game kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So our guy comes around and we are yelling and flagging, stop, the leader hasn't come through. And this will be one for the YouTube viewers. He comes by the timing loop and it's just like coming back through. And we're like, I was like, God damn it. And everybody's like, fucking Jesse, you fucking idiot. Like, sorry. Like, why? Like, damn it. Everybody's just like, dude, we're almost done. And then like 17 seconds later, the leader comes by, yay, champagne, fireworks, woo, he finished. And we're just like, dude, like, and then I'm thinking, I'm like, so you're the guy we couldn't get awake this morning. You're the guy who couldn't put 2 laps together last night. Oh, but now it's time to do 3 laps, right?
Yeah.
And then like reality hits, and I'm like, dude, he just passed the pits, which we're not in, and I don't think he has enough fuel to finish because he barely had enough to do 2 laps.
Oh.
And so now it's like the anger's stopped, and now it's like, uh-oh time, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is not good. And so we kind of knew where there's
because you can't service the bike on course, right?
Absolutely not.
Only in the pit.
Only in the pit.
Wow.
So we're just like, dude, after all this time, we could just get a big old DNF stamp right now. Like, this could be it. After all this, you know, and it's a hobby sport and it's for fun, but after all this to come up goose egg would just be not okay.
Right.
You know? So there's some spots on the course where we can see him, and we run over and we can see on this IMS tank that there's like a good 2 inches of fuel in the one winglet, and we know that he's halfway done through the track, and we're like, okay, we can see fuel. That's great. Like, I think it might be enough, you know, like theoretically this should work. And so I was like, okay, but by then, like the big celebratory, like at the finish line, high five each other. That's over. That's like, nah, we're going to the pits. Like, screw this. Like when Jesse gets here, like it is what it is or whatever. So he came in and he finished, but it's like, you know, I was one of them. Was just like, dude, like I had nothing about being on the bike or whatever, but I'm like, that could have been it, you know. And so so everybody kind of cooled out and like took their gear off and calmed down, and that's when you have the first Coors Light of the day at 10 in the morning. Everybody's just, well, now it's 10:30 in the morning because we had to do another lap. So the 50, so let's see, 53 laps later, which is about about 500 miles because it's 9-mile course. About 500 miles, and we finished the 24, and the weather was nice for packing up. Everybody's silly and delirious, and all these other teams who we don't know are coming over, and we're all just shooting the breeze. And there's these people coming from other camps, and hey, we made chili, and you know, do you guys want this? And I'm telling people, hey, help yourself to my cooler, and let's just. So we had the hour party after, and that was our 24 hours of Glen Helen.
Wow. And I know you had some, besides the concussion, you had some other carnage. Jake Young himself actually screwed up his hand or his thumb.
Screwed up his hand. So he, at one point he thought he'd broken his thumb, but then it was like his index finger got hurt and something happened to the webbings, but it was on his non-throttle side. So it's kind of when we were icing it when he wasn't riding, but it was still scary. It's like, you know, if you take your glove off, that might not be going back on, you know, kind of thing. And had a concussion, and then somebody else got ran over in a corner and got their hip ran over, and and one guy was recovering from a broken rib, and so trying not to hurt that worse and all this stuff. So it's
dang.
I think if there's a lesson for me next year, it's that even though 6 riders sounds silly, you're not going to finish with 6 riders. So we might as well, if we're going to do this next year, and that's a big if. I think we start with the max potential, even if one guy never plans to even be on the bike. Maybe just have somebody fresh just in case. But yeah, it was an adventure, and the funniest way I could wrap it up. I was talking to my dad on the phone today. It's you get off the bike and you're like, this is dumb. Glad we finished. Why did we do it?
Right.
Then you're home. Monday, you wake up and you're the sorest you've ever been in your life. Everybody's tired, spent all this money, and now all your bikes and shit are broken. And one guy's got a broken brand new helmet and all your stuff's torn up. And it's like, was that fun? Not really. Was it gratifying? Was it? Yeah, definitely was. It's a good challenge to see what your mental and physical capacity is. Should we do it again? Like, I don't know. It's a lot of money and you end up with 2 broken motorcycles. And then fast forward to the next day and it's like, all right, well, here's the plan for next year.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. I've been in that situation myself, and not a 24-hour race ever, but other races where maybe things didn't go as planned and you're like just ready to scrap everything
Yep.
until, the next day you're like, man, it could have been worse. And then the next day you're like, okay, I got to get ready for this weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
Do we chase the championship next year and do the 610 and the 24? So it's
Yeah, well, I think you should.
yeah. I'm down. If you boys are listening, let's do it.
I hope they do, because this, I mean, what a goodie. And the just to be able to do it, but then what a great job you did, like keeping all the tactical stuff figured out, of as a tactician slash crew chief, keeping the bike together. Did you get the second bike back to rideable?
No,
I,
never did. Yeah, it was just parked the rest of the day.
so how did you get it to impound at the start gate? Did you push it?
No, so I was able to put another wheel on it to get it
Okay.
to get to impound to get the first bike back. And that's what sucks, because that's what happened the first year this literally happened almost word for word. You ride the one bike and you go, okay, it's good. Then you jump on the second bike and you go, oh, this one does this better. This feels nice. It feels like it's a fresh bike. Then the second bike breaks and you have to go back to the first one, and then you have to sell it back to yourself. You're like, no, this one's good. It rode good all day, So it's got a bigger flywheel. So then you got to sell yourself on the positives again.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
But seriously, what a great job. And how many did you get, like top 10 at all? How
Man,
do you know?
well, in our class we got 3rd out of 4 in our class, and
congratulations!
Thank you. The nice thing about that
That's a
was
podium, dude.
What made it so fun was that second place was, I think at the most there were 3 laps up, and then there was times where we were really close to getting our lap back. So it wasn't like they were gone. First place was gone. That's fine. They're sandbagging the class anyway. Who cares? But second place was our guys to be like, oh, and it was exciting for them too, because it was like, we're on your tail, man, to have something to chase. Yeah. Quickly, I'll see if I can quickly find what we did overall. But yeah, it was just nice to have people to battle with, and it's such a long race. You definitely don't. You don't make enemies or anything like that, So looks like we got 49th out of 78 teams.
Not so bad.
Not 79th, so that's cool.
Hey, mid-pack for having to like take basically an hour and a half off in the middle of the night and lose the entire lap plus with mechanical and getting that corrected,
Oh, and I left out one great part, so I won't name who because it's not the point. But we're looking at the lap times, and we're like, whoa, like we didn't get scored on a lap. Like, what the hell's going on? So we asked the guy, We're like, hey man, what happened? And he goes, what do you mean? It's like, how come the transponder didn't pick it up? Was there any issue? Like, what's up? And it's like, kind of paraphrasing, but he's like, well, I never really saw like a finish line or anything. It's like, what do you mean you didn't? It's like, it's right there. Oh no. So it's like, well, what happened? Because then the track, it's at the very end. We're talking the last 200 feet. You got to under, you go over it, you escargot, you go under the tunnel, and it's the
Right.
finish line. So instead of going over and making a right, he goes over, sees the impound and all this stuff, and he's like, well, the pits are over here. So he hangs a left. So he did 99.9% of the course, but just missed the finish line.
Oh,
And
no.
that put us a lap down as well, too. So
yeah.
So then there's a lot of this like, oh man, if we didn't have the chain go, if we didn't do this, it was like, oh, we might have had second. So I think that's that little thing that just keeps you like, next year we'll go get it. So
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say plan an extra 6 gallons of mixed premix,
yeah,
just in case. And maybe like, you know, maybe the crew chief should pick the guy that's going to bring it across the line, and it would be someone that would listen to you.
that might be nice. Yeah, but once again, like, I had the least involvement in this, so I'm not
Right.
going to be the one to be picking and pointing and choosing. It's like, this
Right.
is your
Well,
guys' deal. I'm just here to hang out. So,
but you're supposed to be the crew chief, so you gotta,
hey, there's certain
gotta
people
keep
that don't
them
listen to me, and
boys.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The but that's right, dude. What I
Yeah.
mean, 2 years too. And you finished
Yeah,
both years.
Yeah, I finished both years. So, and this
Which
time we
I
weren't
would
down 27 laps like last year. So.
Yeah. And I would say I mean, obviously a better year this year because you have more riders, at least for a while.
Yep.
And bikes, better quality bikes, let's say.
Yeah, just closer gap for sure, and two
Yeah.
almost identical, which is amazing from a tactical standpoint.
Right. Did you ever find your batteries or the other light?
Nope. They live at Glen Helen now. It's probably in some coyote's den out there now.
There's a Glen Helen memorabilia right there on my
I know. I
wall
was
in
looking
the
at the whole
studio.
time. It's like brings
Yeah.
it. It's the ex-girlfriend. You're like, I love you. I hate you. I love you.
Right.
Never want to see you again. No, you're beautiful.
Right. Dude, that's really that is so cool. I would love to come out and
Dude, that would be
do it
huge.
with you.
It would be so fun.
Like help with the pits or whatever, and
Your knowledge would be your knowledge and most of all your attitude. That's all this race is just keeping a good attitude.
Yeah, well, I could bring my gear, but I only have short boots anymore, so I'm a girly.
Yeah, if you throw your leg over, I won't tell your wife. She doesn't listen to this anyway, so
Yeah,
we're good.
every single one. And you know what? She loves it. So
Number one
it's
fan.
yeah. Yeah, she's been missing you, but so have I. So, I know you got everything going all the time, and man, I'm so grateful that you just took a little time to jump on tonight, and I miss you. It's good to see your face.
Good to see your face.
I mean, I get to honestly, I get to see his face every week on the intro, but I really miss him. I definitely missed your technical knowledge, and I missed the questions that you would ask with Kyle Peters a couple weeks ago.
Oh man, yeah, I would have gone way off topic, so maybe it's best I didn't.
No, I think it would have been good. And
I'll be like, I would have been like, were you the fastest arena cross rider that's also sold cars during the summer?
Right.
That's the kind of stuff I'd be asking.
Yeah. No, that was good. And, we've had some bangers recently and
Oh, yeah.
thankful for our guests and always thankful for Cole. Even when we're recording with a guest, he's there for the intro and he's there on the headset, um, doing all the behind the scenes production stuff. So that's massive, folks. I know a lot of you have missed him also, but we're working on it. We'll get there.
Yep.
Times will sort out.
Yes,
So
sir. Yep.
yeah, dude, that's rad. Well, congratulations on the
Thank you.
podium.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
you know, I'm sure the people that'll say, "Oh, well, there was only 4 people in the class," but you know, I have proudly taken the first place trophy when I was the only guy that finished
Yep. Yep.
because I was the only guy
Guy
that
that finished.
finished, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, it's hard to explain, but it's not like we did one lap, parked it for 23 hours, then did one more and finished. It's like,
Right. No.
besides not having a rider who wasn't blowing bubbles at 6:30 in the morning, we were moving forward. So
Yeah. No, and that's impressive, I'm sure there's some of those classes where they do, you guys are turning an average of 20-minute laps and they're turning, hour laps.
for sure.
Um, just because it's like, okay, well, if I do an hour lap and you do an hour lap and he does an hour lap, I mean, if you had 5 guys or 6 guys, um, if you were sandbagging just to get a finish, realistically, you do 20 laps or so in 24 hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and you guys did, what'd you say? How many?
Like
50?
53. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
working for it. That's earning it.
yeah, that's all those guys on the bike. So
Yeah.
they get all the kudos, all the credit, all the love, all the glory. So I just got
Well,
to like what I told you today. I said I was just a guy sitting drinking beer in the sun, going, "Why aren't we winning?" That's all I
right.
did.
Yeah. You gotta channel a little more of the
Harry Hog.
little more hairy hog. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
I'll eat some ice cream and yell and
eat some ice cream
throw
and yell.
punches and
Yeah.
run down pit road, and yeah, I could be about that.
Can you guys can't use radios even one-way communication, can you?
It's not there in Moto. It's really not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. I think you technically could. The best thing we're coming up with right now is like an air tag, or you put your location on your phone and put your phone in your backpack so you can see where you are on the property. So
Right.
that's about the best we got right now.
That would be my concern at night is just keeping track of your rider, right?
Yeah.
So, but I guess you could use something like like an AirTag or like one of those bicycle um, GPS things,
Yep.
where it
hmm
tracks your movement. So that, yeah. But my concern would be the riders, in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
like in your situation where the guy's like, well, maybe he's just really slow, and then it's like, oh no, he's been broken for 15
A long
minutes.
time.
Yeah,
An eternity.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the night, um, on a track like that, even if you were broke down for 15 minutes, it would seem like an eternity.
Oh no, it was. Yeah. I mean, shoot,
Yeah,
you
from
know,
both sides.
I mean, we're talking normally like a minute pit stop is uncomfortably long, and now it's like the
Right.
bike's sitting, and then fast forward, the bike's sitting on a stand for 20 minutes. What's wrong? No, everything's good. We just need somebody to ride it. You know, so
That's so
you get both
crazy.
sides. Yeah, everybody just laughs. Everybody's just silly at that point. Like, dude,
Yeah.
yep, I get it.
Well, you know what? Shout out to young Jake Young
Yep.
for pulling the mind trick the
Oh,
Jedi
yeah.
mind trick,
That was
and
good.
getting the rider motivated, and for putting in the laps. Sounds
yeah.
like he probably put a lot of laps in.
He goes to Captain Insano mode sometime in the night, and then it's 2 years in a row. He's just like, well, I'll put some time on the clock, and he does.
Just starts clicking.
Just gets in his own zone, and away he goes.
Yeah, that's rad. What a talent.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, we better wrap it up, man.
Works for me.
That
It's way
was
past bedtime.
Yeah, that was exciting, dude. That
I'm
was
glad.
exciting. That was I really enjoyed that thorough, like, play by play, man. I couldn't see it, so you have to keep me posted on the dates for next year and plans for next year, because
Yep.
that'd be super cool. It might be actually, worth driving all that way.
Maybe you could loop it into something else out. Like, come see Chuck. Come hang out.
Right?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I could figure something out. So
So would love to have you.
yeah, that'd be rad. So, all right. Well, we need to wrap it up. So, we are going to be sure, as we're wrapping up, thanking our great sponsors and partners, starting with the one and only, the crew chief, Cole, and the
Hi.
Premix podcast. All your desert racing photography needs, hit him up, slide into his DMs on Instagram. The @ symbol ThePremixPodcast,
Beautiful.
the Premix Podcast. Of course, Kicker Performance Audio, Kicker Audio on Instagram, kicker.com on the webs, and Kicker on Facebook for all your premium marine, off-road, on-road, or personal audio needs. Look them up, kicker.com. Of course, Bomber safety eyewear, Bomber floating eyewear, Bomber sunglasses, bombereyewear.com, or on Instagram @ Bomber Eyewear. You can do what I do and get really cool Boogie Bomb frames in white, which, if you listen to the last podcast, my promotion, shameless, consistent 9 years of promotion of the white Boogie Bombs has led to them being
Wow. Back in
still
production.
available, back in production. Yes, sir. Even the Mono series. So, yeah, and these are a dark smoke polarized safety lens, ANSI 87, OSHA
Wow.
approved. Yeah, don't leave home without them. BomberEyewear.com. Of course, Kelsey Morrell Film, so grateful for all she does for us and film, audio, and the work,
All the
just
work.
all the work, right? Yeah, I mean, so much of the work. Catch all her final production stuff on our YouTube channel, Mad Dog Space Media. And we have current episodes, and we're uploading old episodes at the same time. So, getting all caught up on all that. Find her on Instagram @ Kelsey Morrell Film for all your film production needs and still photography needs. You need website help, you need social media help, you need creative help. Yell, "Hey Keeks," or just find her on the webs, heykeeks.com, or on Instagram @ Hey Keeks Marketing. Want to take a moment to thank all our female listeners, give a shout out. Look after your tatas. It's National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, disease that has affected me directly through family and through great friends. Shout out to all who have won, all who are fighting, and prayers for all those who have lost. Ladies, get them checked. Get your knockers knocked on, whatever you want to call it. Get them looked at. And folks, guys, if you want to support the breasts, it is nationalbreastcancer.org.
There it is.
Yeah. With that, Cole, I am honored to have you do the speech.
Honored to be back. Oh, don't do 24-hour races. It's way too long. No. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And you know
Thanks.
what? Shout out to all our listeners for sharing us around, because we are getting more subscribers, more followers, and man, we're getting a few reviews too, picking up.
Sweet. That's always
And
good.
we're getting more followers. We're growing followers like crazy on our YouTube channel too, where you can actually get the audio and shortly thereafter get the actual remastered video of the entire podcast.
Wow.
And we're popping up some shorts also, entertaining blurbs from the podcast. So be sure and watch us, Mad Dog Media. With that, Cole, parting remarks.
Parting remarks. It's late, but it's not that late, but it's later than I want to be up. So bye.
I love it. You know what? I'm right there with you.
Perfect.
God bless America. God bless our troops. God bless our first responders. God bless all those suffering and fighting breast cancer. God bless this podcast. Mad Dog out.